So tell us something about you. We all saw you back in the day on Nashville Star. So tell us, and Miranda Lambert, I will say, is from right down the road here from where in Mineola, right down from we're in East Texas too. So I won't
I
say
got you. Okay.
who we were rooting for, but we watched it pretty close.
Well, I
So
know
where
who
did
you
you
should have
grow up?
been rooting for. I grew up in Northeast Arkansas. Yeah, well, I mean, you should have
Okay.
been rooting for her. She's your hometown girl. Uh, anyway, I grew up in Northeast Arkansas, a little town called Osceola, and it's
Osceola.
on the Mississippi River, about an hour north of Memphis on the Arkansas side of the Mississippi.
That puts me in that name sounds like a lyric from a John Anderson song from heard the ghost of
Yeah,
Osceola cry.
yeah, it's Osceola everywhere except in Osceola, Arkansas. It's Osceola
It's
there,
in Arkansas. Well, that's kind of how it is in
and it's actually
Arkansas.
got that name. Yeah, the town was called Plum Point, and then Chief Osceola traveled through there. I don't know, I can't remember the specifics, but he wound up staying there. I don't know if he was in custody or what, but they changed the name to Osceola after he left.
Osceola. Is that a big
Yeah.
town?
No, Matt, when I was growing up there, it's about 7,000. I'd be surprised if it's probably shrank a little bit. Shrunk. Uh,
Shrink, shrink, or
no
shrunk.
clue. But our mascot is we're the Osceola Seminoles. So definitely
Oh,
came
there
from
you
him.
go. Seminole Wind. Yep, that's the song.
Yeah.
So what kind of childhood you had? I guess you're a middle child, which I don't know if that they said that if you're a middle child you have certain characteristics, and if you're oldest, and so what was it like with your growing up? Was it a happy childhood?
Yeah, it was mixed. I it was a we were lower middle class if we were in the middle class, or we were upper lower class. you know,
I know
my
about that.
dad has seemed to always be working two jobs, and my mom, was a homemaker until a certain point, and then she, worked, 40 hours a week too, just like daddy, and so we were expected to, kind of take care of ourselves, and not that we were abandoned, but I'm saying we got a little older, got to school, they expected us to do our homework and stuff like that without having to get on to us about it. And my sister, my brother, and I, we all did. We took care of business. But it pretty much is happy childhood. My grandparents lived, both sets of grandparents when I was small lived about 20 miles away in a little town called Dice, Arkansas. It's hometown of Johnny Cash. That's where my mom and dad grew up. And but yeah, it's a pretty happy childhood, honestly.
So that's pretty cool. Johnny Cash. So he grew up. That's his hometown, right down the road from where you grew up.
Yeah, I think he was born in Kingsland, Arkansas, which is down south. And then
Right.
1935, I guess there's a big flood down there, and the Jewells the Jewells were my grandfather and great grandfather and came from out of Kentucky. But anyway, the Jewells and the Cashes met up about 1935 in this little town. It was a socialist project. Eleanor Roosevelt came there and dedicated the town, and like all good socialist projects, it failed. And so, uh, anyway, but the Jewells and the Cashes had a lot of interactions. Johnny and my uncle Hubert, my dad's oldest brother, they were really good friends. And my dad and Tommy played basketball together in high school, and a couple of the sisters
Cool.
used to come to my mom's house to play piano. So they knew each other pretty well.
Yeah, I love that Tommy Cash. There's one song that he does that's "Let an Old Racehorse Run" that I've seen him
Yeah,
do quite. I love that song. That's one of my favorites.
yeah. Well, I know a little bit about Tommy, more about Johnny, but Six White Horses, was my favorite of his. And I'm sure a lot of other folks too.
hmm So you grew up playing. So did you grow up in music, or was that something that happened later in your life?
Well, I started, I like to sing and I loved music, from really early age. Didn't start playing guitar till I was about 14. And really, instrument wise, my mom and dad, didn't play. They both had really pretty singing voices, although neither one of them like sang in the church choir or nothing like that. Um, so I'm the only one that chose to pick up an instrument and try to make a living at it.
That's pretty neat. Did you start playing in church? I'm assuming you started playing in church.
Yeah, I started singing in church when I was like in kindergarten, and
Okay.
then when we moved to Osceola, and the church we went to had like a children's choir and a youth choir and all that. So from the fourth grade up through high school and then into college, I sang in choirs. But yeah, and then the first time I played um, publicly was singing in church. So yeah, I did a lot of that.
Cool. Yeah. So,
Mhm.
and no high school band though. No, nothing in the young years. Nobody's going to dig up any good
No,
footage
the
from then.
crazy. Yeah, no, the crazy thing is I was I guess I was in my early 20s before I ever was ever part of a band, and that lasted for about one gig. and and then 1986, I wound up working. I moved down to South Arkansas, to Camden, Arkansas, down Southwest Arkansas. I went to work with a band called White Oak, and spent 3 or 4 years on the road with those guys. And then the band broke up in '89. I kind of split off, started doing my own thing, moved to Dallas, and from Dallas to Nashville later on. So
Cool.
really didn't have a lot of experience in bands other than the one band that I was with for 3 or 4 years. We were on the road 300 plus days a year. So
White Oak.
I got a big education in a small amount of time.
I've got a buddy that's from that spent a lot of time in Texarkana, Arkansas, and he always says that he's
Yeah.
from L.A. and and then he says it's Lower Arkansas is what he means by L.A.
Yeah. Yeah, he's definitely from Lower Arkansas. Yeah, Camden's not too far away from Texarkana. I think maybe an hour and a half, something like that.
So you is there's a little gap in your bio, but I saw a TBN or CBN story about you, and you had a couple hiccups in your kind of mid adulthood before Nashville Star. Do you want to talk about any of that?
I'm fine to talk about anything. I'm open book,
Well, let's get into it. So what were the let me see how I'm gonna ask this.
Well, if you're talking about the drug and alcohol problem, yeah, that I'm
Yeah.
assuming that's what you're alluding to. Yeah, man,
Well, yeah, that's what that CBN thing was.
yeah, I wound up, God, I drank at one point before we moved to Nashville. I drank just about every day. I was high just about every day, and if I wasn't high, I was trying to figure out a way to get high. And got to Nashville. Uh, in short, the good Lord got a hold of me and got me straightened out, and I'm not that guy anymore. You know.
Well, that's a good quick turnaround. It sounds quick. It probably didn't happen that quick in real life. But
No, it didn't. It took a lot
so
of
how did
patience on a lot of people's part.
right, and I understand that. So with the Nashville Star thing,
Yeah.
I've always been curious how they recruit, or if they recruit you, or if that's something you kind of try out for. How did that work?
Well, I know. Well, of course, that was the first season.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't recruit me. I tried. A friend of mine from church kept coming to church and saying, "Hey, there's this new TV show. It's like American Idol," which American Idol was only a year old at that point in time. And he says, "It's like American Idol, but it's for country singer songwriters, and you should go audition. They're coming to Nashville. You should audition." And I blew him off a couple of times, and every Sunday I see him, he'd say, "You're going to audition?" And finally, to shut him up, he was a great guy. I said, "Okay, I'll go audition if you'll leave me alone." And so I went down and did the cattle call down at the what's called the Bridgestone Arena now. I think there's about 10,000 people there that day, and waited my turn, and got to go in, and it's kind of like a funnel, like a cattle, like funneling cattle into the final chute. You start out where there's all this pipe and drape around you, and you're singing in front of two judges, and on your right hand side somebody's singing Patsy Cline, on your left hand side somebody's doing Elvis, and the only thing between you is a curtain. and get about 30 seconds. And the two judges, they both give you thumbs up. You move on down the line a little bit. And each time you get to move on, they cut people out. So I spent, oh my goodness, I don't know. I really don't remember the amount. It's probably a good 10, 12 hours in line. And
really,
and then
so it's
finally
like
made it
at Six Flags.
Oh, every bit, and there's no fast pass either. Now I don't know. They may have recruited other people, but they didn't recruit me.